This is Warriors Plus Minus. Marcus Thompson here with my boss, Tim Kawakami.
Ben Cruz. Your boss, Ben Cruz.
No, Ben is just my bully. You, sir, are my boss.
Yeah, I'm certainly not your bully. That's for sure.
So, last night, big performance. Big,
yep.
13 minutes and 43 seconds from Damian Jones.
Oh, see, you write the column on him. That's all you want to talk about.
Tim, why is this the first time we've seen him?
That's an interesting question. I think it basically took Steve Kerr this long to get comfortable with him and also get tired of some of the other guys. And, he's still going to play Zaza. He started Zaza, but he didn't finish with Zaza in either half. He finished with Damian Jones in the first half at the end of the game because, Zaza can do that thing where he doesn't get pushed around by Steven Adams, and we saw what happened to JaVale. But Damian, I think, can sort of not get pushed around and do so many other things. So, do you see him now? Is he going to have a playoff role? Is he going to play some minutes?
I don't want to get really gassed off one performance. Yep. It was against Steven Adams.
Yes, on the road.
On the road, in the game Oklahoma City really wanted.
Yep.
So it's not nothing. But if he can do that, he automatically becomes he moves up in the rotation. Yes. Right.
He comes he's just like, if Jordan Bell isn't giving you good minutes, you can get Damian Jones in there. And you can't say that about Zaza Pachulia.
They got their three. Damian Jones, Jordan Bell, Kevon Looney.
Yep. Yeah, it's like not the two who played in the playoffs last year, by the way.
That's their – that might be their three moving forward.
Yeah.
It's just interesting, and I think you're robbing Steve Kerr of his credit because Steve Kerr knew this all along, and he waited for the right time.
I'm going to do it April 3rd in Oklahoma City.
He waited for the right time to play Damian Jones. Just, why show your cards so early?
Not picking up Kevon Looney's option for next year, so exposing that, have Looney play well most of the season, and then Damian Jones right at the end.
That's what happened. I'm telling you.
But this is why they were keeping him no matter what. This is why they picked up his option and did not pick up Looney's, because he's physically skilled in a way that
and there's just so much potential there.
And if you can just get him minutes, he can score for you. What those baskets that he was making, they weren't the hardest in the world. But Zaza can't even think about making those baskets. JaVale might make some of them, might throw the ball away for some of them. Damian Jones is going to play next year. He has to play next year. And they're seeing, I guess they're not seeing it. They see him at practice. But I guess fans are seeing this is why they picked up his option and why he was always going to be on this team next season. Always. You talk about, oh, my goodness, he's not playing. He's being deactivated. And he might, by the way, he might be inactive throughout the playoffs. The way you look at it, he still might. But
I was one of those people. If he can't play now, when can he play?
Yep.
What's the point? I didn't understand. They have 5 guys injured, right?
Yep.
And
they have 6 centers on the roster.
Zaza's not playing well. JaVale has his moments, and it's like Jordan Bell was out. If he can't play now, when can he play? And then all of a sudden, he goes out, and Steven Adams had a good game, right? But Steven Adams looked like he had to deal with 5 different players.
Yep.
He looked like – it's almost like, when you got a guy like James Harden, you just weren't running him different defenders. Yep. And that might be actually a weapon for the Warriors. Yep. You got one of these big guys, hey, we're going to put 5 different types of players on you.
Yep.
And we got –
There's only really 2 of them, right?
Yeah, really.
It's Karl Anthony Towns and Steven Adams. And then with Towns, you could put Draymond on him. So that's a whole other thing. But –
that's the big thing, though. If you could preserve Draymond.
Oh, absolutely. And have him go get Carmelo. And he's like, okay, I got Carmelo. He's going to go 0 for 9 for 3 or whatever it was. I'll just say the other thing, again, my DVR flipped out on me at the end, so I didn't see the fourth. That's what I want. I heard the fourth quarter, but as I was driving home from the Giants game, I did not see it. But, man, were they ruthless attacking Carmelo. We know they were going to, but that was cold. It was
I was surprised they showed it.
Yeah, I guess Kerr.
I guess they just wanted to let's show them.
We're
going to face this team in the first round.
On your, which I believe in. I was talking to Slater about this. I don't believe in let's lose to them so we don't have to play them in the first round. Maybe you do that if you're the 4th seed or the 3rd seed. You don't do that if you're the winning
defending
champions have won it 2 years before, won 73 the year you didn't. You got who you got. Let's go beat them. Let's just go beat them.
You do that, that's a psychological L you take.
Like you're telling your player, hey, you know what? We don't think we might be able to beat these guys. Well, no. That's what was part of Kerr saying we can beat anybody without Steph, even if it's probably not true. It's all part like we're good enough to beat this team. Let's show up without Iguodala, without all the people they didn't have, Steph, clearly, and let's go on the court, their court. They're dying for
in a place where we have been just destroyed before.
Absolutely. And let's beat them. And let's just take it to them. And so, how are they going to do that? They're going to attack Carmelo Anthony. They're going to attack Ray Felton. There's guys on that. I was watching this game. They're going, there's so many places where the Warriors can attack them, but it's specifically Carmelo Anthony. And if they can survive this, then they're going to feel real good about games 3 and 4 in Oklahoma City if they're playing them in the first round. Hey, they might knock Oklahoma City out of the playoffs. I mean, Oklahoma's got some.
They're not they have Houston next.
Yes, and now Houston might not care, but same thing with Houston. Like Houston doesn't want to just say, oh, you know what, let's lose to them, and no,
if we win, we push them to 8.
Yeah,
and we don't want to.
Just play. And I still fully expect Oklahoma City in the playoffs, but they could go out and then. Warriors like, okay, we're still the Warriors, and I don't know that they needed to tell themselves that, but it sure showed up. And listen, Draymond, I don't think made a basket, but Draymond is really important against that team. He's important against all teams. He's really important against that team.
And this is the funny part. What if the playoff rotation includes Kevon Looney, Damian Jones, and Quinn Cook?
Yeah.
Like who? What universe is this?
And Zaza is out.
And Zaza's out.
And
maybe JaVale even starting.
Yeah, and then out.
Yeah.
It's going to be cameos, if anything, for those two. And then we'll see. People keep asking me about Nick Young, and he's not. We talked about it last show. Let's not talk too much about it this time, but he's not playing great. He had a good plus-minus last night. I didn't see all of it. I don't guess he wasn't terrible.
He made a couple shots.
But could Quinn Cook take his minutes? And Quinn's not big enough to take those minutes, and they don't really have anyone else. But man, I could see a way for them to really limit Nick Young's minutes. Because if you get Iguodala playing some of those minutes, you get Livingston playing some of those minutes, Quinn Cook playing some of those minutes, those are minutes you can siphon away from Nick Young if you have to. I think Steve will want to play Nick Young. Doesn't mean he has to play him that much.
They played Draymond Green at point.
No question. Yeah.
And you put Quinn Cook on that off guard spot as the spot up wing guy who's ready to catch and shoot. Where's Nick Young?
Yep.
The formula was there's plenty of ways he could not play.
Yep.
Only difference is like you said last time, Nick Young is 6'5".
Yep. He spreads his arms out and they got to go around him. It's still there's that part of it, and he can make a shot, although we know it's not the most reliable thing. And I don't like judging injuries and judging what a guy's motivation is, but is Omri Casspi even want to play for this team anymore? I mean, I don't think he wants to play for this team
I think
anymore.
He's played his last game.
Yep.
I think he's played his last game as a Warrior.
Yeah, and again, maybe that ankle is more serious but he hurt the ankle a month ago, and they said it was a 1 week injury. 1 week injury, and this is a month.
It was literally last month.
Yes. And I just don't think he wants to play anymore. Or it's some weird concoction of he's mad that he's being judged like this. Well, we know he's mad he's being judged like this. And he's also, see how hurt I am. And he's also a little hurt, and he doesn't want to play when he's a little hurt. I get all that. I'm not trying to be tough on him. But maybe that's how you play when you're with the Sacramento Kings. Maybe that's how you play when you're not the number one team in the league, not based on victories, but just based on who you are. But I can't imagine it's going over very well in that locker room.
It's hard to play with champions.
Yep.
That's just a different level. And maybe this is something the Warriors, have learned, moving forward. Some players look nice, but, when they're coming from losing teams and losing ways, maybe there's some habits or maybe there's some mindsets that haven't been cultivated.
Yep.
That might be tough.
And the pressure of it.
It's
not
for everybody.
You and I are just used to this. A guy is not good for a stretch. We're going to write that guy's not good for a stretch. Some guys accept it. Some guys, like Sean, I've criticized Livingston, and I didn't play good. And Casspi is not happy with the coverage, but this is what you do when you sign up with this team. This is what happens.
When you don't play well, this is what happens.
And the team loses games and can't get minutes out of you. And again, I'd try not to say it's a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's part of professional sports that you're going to be judged like this, and there are going to be hurt feelings if you're not playing well at this highest level of basketball. And he cannot, even if he was healthy, you cannot play him against the Houston Rockets. Omri Casspi cannot be on the court in any meaningful minute against the Houston Rockets. So why would he even be on the team? And that's what I was saying 2 months ago, before everything else started happening.
So hold on, I thought Damian Jones was getting cut for
that's right.
for Quinn Cook.
I heard this about 10 times. He is not getting cut.
Damian Jones is the odd man out to get Quinn Cook a roster spot.
Not true. Fake news.
And clearly Cook is going to be the starting point guard.
Well, yeah, Curry's coming off the bench. Curry's coming off the bench forever.
Yep. Maybe they'll bring in Jeremy Lin to start. So when you look at these matchups, right, that they'll get, and we still don't know. There's 4 games left. We still don't know who they'll get.
These teams are playing each other, and it is
big win by the Clippers last night to keep hope alive for the Clippers. They probably won't get up to 7 though. So
no,
but what they did to Oklahoma City, which was easily by far and away the most dangerous first round opponent. Do you think the Warriors are in that mental space now where they say it doesn't even matter, we're going to win in 4 or 5 games, pick who you come with? Or do you see Minnesota, Oklahoma City still is a team that could really take 6 is what we're talking about, right? Like, can they sweep them, or can they push it to 6 against the Warriors?
For me, it's can they win Game 3?
Yeah,
it's always Game 3 because you assume the Warriors are going to win the first 2 at home, although they split a couple times, but you still assume that. And then what's Game 3 going to be like? Because Game 3 at Utah last year was tough. We know it was tough. If Durant doesn't hit those 5 straight shots, they might lose Game 3, and it's a series. Then I don't think they lose a series, but it's a series. I think Minnesota's. You never know with Karl Anthony Towns. You never know Wiggins, and there's some other guys in there. Jimmy Butler, if Butler's back, but I think they're in a spot where they kind of like Steve. They've been through this. Okay, we're going to win without Steph. We're going to win around without Steph. We want him back. We're better with him, obviously. Love him, but we want to win around without him. That's quite
a second round boost, though.
Yes. By the way, we're going to get Steph Curry back. And you know what? Maybe if the Warriors blow through that first round and they get him extra rest, maybe they give him another couple days rest.
You bring him back in Game 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Game
you just really make sure. I think number 30 would not be pleased by that. But you might know better. Maybe he just wants to kick back and relax through the playoffs. But I think that's how they rally. They rally about let's do it without this guy. That's great. Want him back. Let's do it without him. And that was what you saw last night. That was a lot of what you saw last night. It's that chip on the shoulder thing. And sometimes you have to invent it. Sometimes things invent it for you. And you know what? If they can get great, they did it without Livingston. They did it without Iguodala. We're not just talking about Steph here. These are hugely important players throughout the playoffs.
That's crazy.
They did it without any of them, and I don't quite, still try to figure out exactly how that all happened. But it is also further proof that they know that Westbrook, they can let Westbrook go for 40. They don't have
did.
Let him go for 40. He even shot efficiently.
Until the end.
Yeah. But that sort of offense.
I wonder what Steve Kerr was thinking.
Well, we can guess a little bit. But that sort of offense does not hold up at the end of games. That sort of offense is something that they can deal with. And I wrote this on Twitter this morning, and I do believe it. It really comes down to Paul George in any matchup. George has to be a really good player, and he was.
When they've beaten the Warriors, Paul George was amazing.
Yep.
To the point where, for a while there, it was tough to see him play bad games, right? It's like, that dude is amazing. And then you see him look average against, Denver or whatever. But he looked average.
Yes.
He looked average. He still does a thing with Clay, right? He makes life a little difficult for Clay. Clay actually got by him and missed the layup because he could just feel like Paul George coming. But if he's not making shots and, he's kind of got to get open looks to make them. He's not a 40% shooter with a hand in his face. He's not he's kind of need to get open looks. So they really just need somebody to stay in his face. That's a major cog that is gone. They shot 38% because you got Russ and then who else?
Yep.
And they're just not going to dump it down to Steven Adams 20 times.
No. And he wouldn't be great. He could do it 10 times, but he can't do it 20 because you'd strip them and they'd go the other way with him. And that's not their offense anyway. It's not their offense. Clear out for us. Let them dribble around.
I don't think they can produce enough against a good defense like that, especially with Draymond engaged and Kevin Durant engaged.
Iguodala help. This is that's the Warriors playbook right there. That's what it is. We'll take whatever. If Westbrook wants to go for 40, he goes for 40. We're going to beat all the rest of their guys because the rest of the guys are going to be out of the offense, will not feel involved. And that's the whole Kerr thing. Pass the ball, feel involved. Everybody feels like they're part of this. He plays Varejao when you don't think he's going to. He
plays Damian Jones out of nowhere.
Exactly. This is just the Steve Kerr thing. And you see the context of it specifically when they're playing Russell Westbrook.
I'll tell you what, JaVale McGee's got to be nervous watching Damian Jones.
Wow.
Because there's a couple of those alley-oops from Draymond that look just as good.
Yep.
It was like JaVale was like, man, I'm the one dude who can do that. Yep. And I was like,
No, that was the whole thing drafting Damian Jones. That was the whole thing because remember, they're coming off losing in Game 7. And, well, then they do sign Durant. But it also was like guys who couldn't catch the ball and dunk.
Zealy,
they didn't. Varejao. They just couldn't catch the ball, take a step, and dunk. And Damian Jones, in their mind, theoretically, just do that. He's got so much other things that he can do. He can shoot the ball. He can do, he's just an overall interesting player. But just in your first couple of years, just catch a ball and dunk. And he didn't do it all his first year, obviously. This year,
But they've been talking about him like in Santa Cruz. He's been looking tremendous.
Yep. He's athletic. I mean,
and they rave about him.
So athletic. So athletic.
We're going to take a quick break for a word from our friends at Hims, a new wellness brand for men. Is that hairline slowly starting to move backwards? I know some of you Warriors fans have used that line when talking about a certain Eastern Conference rival, but it's not funny when it starts happening to you. 66% of men lose their hair by age 35. Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. It's easier to keep the hair you have than to replace the hair you've lost. Do you want your hairline to recede or do you want to do something about it? Luckily, we've got a solution for you. 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss and more for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. No weird snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. These prescription solutions are backed by science. Save hours by going to 4hims.com. It's so easy. Answer a few quick questions, a doctor will review and prescribe you products, and they are shipped directly to your door. Now is your chance to order. Warriors Plus Minus listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds of dollars if you went to the doctor or pharmacy. So, go to 4hims.com/plus. That's FORHIMS.com/plus. Now, back to Warriors Plus Minus.
By the way, so you didn't see the fourth quarter. You didn't see the Jordan Bell elbow jumper?
No. What? Like in the flow or at the end of the shot clock?
No, in the flow.
Wow.
Jordan Bell just he's looking for a couple options, was open at the elbow, just pulled it and hit it. It's like Jordan Bell hitting the elbow jumper.
Well, he's watching Looney do it. He goes, I guess I better start doing this too. He's starting to do some things like we were talking. He never dribbles in the lane.
Now he's
starting to attack, trying and then he'll pass off, but he isn't like getting the ball freezing. Oh my God, what do I do with it? That's better, and it does show that there's growth there. That you don't,
and he's staying down on pump fakes.
Yes. Now we'll see how that works against Houston, but yeah, there's so much growth there. That's why Jordan Bell, Kevon Looney, Damian Jones. We'll see if they re-sign Looney, but those are the guys who are going to play next year. And then the way it looks to me, I think Zaza wants to play. They're not going to re-sign him. David, I would guess, is going to retire.
I think David's going to retire.
This the injury stuff he's gone through. He gets back-to-back championships or whatever, however this season turns out. I think he goes.
He can ride off into the sunset.
Right off the sunset. JaVale's gone. So then your centers are Damian Jones. We'll see if they re-sign Looney. Jordan Bell, Draymond, and they'll probably sign somebody.
Yeah. or go and get somebody.
Well, that's a whole other show. But yeah, I think they're going to be looking at a lot of things, but the names that we mentioned are the ones that are going to be on the team. That's for sure.
So, speaking of their young talent and who's going to be next year, Patrick McCaw took a really scary fall. Yep. It actually, to be honest, it was a typical scary fall. What was scary was the reaction afterwards.
There's a scream.
Right? Yeah, we've seen people like get low bridge and land hard before, but the way he reacted, you were like, "Oh man, uh-oh."
Yep.
And it's been unequivocally a very rough year for Patrick McCaw, right? And what was supposed to be a big year for him, and now, you hate for people to lose opportunity because of injury or whatever, but this is a contract year, and they do have to make a decision on him. And I don't think he's going to play the regular season.
No. I don't think he's going to play the start of the
And if he doesn't play, if he doesn't play in the playoffs, if he doesn't play in the regular season, when does he get in the playoffs? Yep. If they develop a rotation and it's flowing, unless like Nick Young and Quinn Cook fall apart, when does he get in? And now you start wondering, what do you do with Patrick McCaw moving forward?
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, and the whole deal with him, his price tag is going to be too high for them with his luxury tax. His price tag is going to come down now.
If he becomes good, if he starts looking like rookie Patrick McCaw in year 3, right, and you start seeing that again, now you got him at a bargain price because he had a rough year, which kind of rough to bank on that. Be like, hey, let's get him for cheap, and then he'll be good later.
Yep.
But man, it's
tough.
We were just talking about. I remember Danny LaRue wrote like, "Here's how they'll be able to afford Patrick McCaw," and then all of a sudden,
it's a tough market to gauge because he doesn't shoot.
Yes,
and it's just hard. So some team's going to have to be in love with him, despite the fact that he's not shooting. So somebody could but you just never know for sure. And even the teams you think might just go for somebody who can shoot, because it's just. You don't want to grab a guy on potential and have him come out and be a 32% shooter. And Patrick at times, that's what he is, and incredibly tentative. So I think this throws an interesting mix into it. If I'm him, I probably want to stay for a year or two just to tide it out,
just to be in my comfort zone.
Exactly.
I think the last thing he needs to go to a new environment,
and then go sign with the Orlando Magic and have them say, here, you got to go score. I think being with Iguodala is very good for him, and maybe another year with Iguodala, and then he was supposed to be the next Iguodala. That didn't happen.
Remember, Iguodala said it at the championship parade.
Exactly. So that's still obviously delayed.
Iguodala's like, oh yeah, I thought you guys were replacing me.
But if there's money out there, you should take it. I mean, always take the best you can. It won't come from the Warriors. I mean, they're not giving him a 3-year. They're not. So it's an interesting decision for him, and this is definitely. I think it's actually made it more likely that he'll be back next season.
I do. Opinion. And you know what? I like the idea of signing guys with something to prove. Yep. And we've seen Kevon Looney in that mode.
They didn't sign him.
They didn't sign him, right? They created that situation, and now it's like, he's you want players with a little bit of edge, especially next to these all-stars.
Yep.
You have to be willing to kind of forge your own way. Like you cannot shrink from the moment.
We've seen that.
We've seen the veterans. We've seen veterans. We've seen an 11-year vet in Nick Young and a 10-year vet Omri Casspi kind of say, I don't know, I don't feel that comfortable being me. And you've seen like the G League guy Quinn Cook, like what I got this. Let's do it.
Yep. It's just interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to who picks it up and who doesn't, who gets it and who doesn't. And
some youngsters don't know enough. They just don't
know what. Just got to go do it. Just got to go do it. What are you going to do? Again, I'll just say Quinn Cook, Duke, though. I mean, he's played some big games. And it doesn't mean every Duke
Jim Barnett would say 4 years of college.
4 years of college. But there's a headiness to him that you don't see out of some other players.
There's just a comfort. Here's the crazy part. You just have to be comfortable shooting your shot.
Yep.
Doesn't even matter how it's looked, but when you go up to shoot, you just got to be comfortable.
Yep. You can't be thinking, wait a minute, KD's over there, and they're going to be mad at me if I miss.
That's the amazing part, is that Quinn Cook can come in from the G League and play with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and take a shot and just it's a shot.
Yep.
And these other guys who've been in the league forever. I mean, Nick Young did play with Gilbert Arenas, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But
it's just like
he didn't win with him.
He didn't. But you could see it. You could almost see the angst going up. When Patrick McCaw, you can see that. You can see it.
Well, McCaw's talked about it.
Right. So it's like that's the key is you just have to be comfortable taking your shot.
Yep.
And apparently that's really tough to do
for certain mentalities. Which again, although I'll always say that people wince sometimes when Draymond takes some of those threes, but he's Draymond Green. He's not a great three-point shooter. He will take that shot.
I'm taking the shot.
Game 7. The loss to Cleveland, Draymond was unbelievable in a game 7. LeBron James,
there was not
historic.
An ounce of
I am
fear
taking these shots, and you kind of that's what we're seeing. You need when you're playing.
And he could tear the side of the backboard up, and he's taking the next one.
I'm taking the shot. This is the shots. Sometimes when he's way off, he doesn't. But you do them like I always say with Klay. Game 6 in Oklahoma City did that. You've shown who you are forever. You've shown who you are. Draymond Green in Game 7, that was one of the great Game 7 performances. If they had won that game, that we'll remember. It was an incredible game.
It took some legendary stuff to outshine that.
Yes, well, several of them. Certainly in the last minute or so.
Yeah, that was great. TK, what's our plans for the postseason?
The Athletic, you mean, or dinner? We're gonna
plus minus.
I'm not sure. We got some logistical issues. You and I both might get fired for a TK show appearance earlier today, but we'll try to get in. We'll go to practice. We'll go to we'll do what we did previous years for another publication, and we will get the best interviews. We'll have the best talk, but it's a little tough sometimes because we're on the road or we're. It's a logistical issue, but why not keep talking about the Warriors? It would be silly. Right? It would be silly not to.
I think we should just bring Ben with me. I need a personal.
You get to get that first round mojo.
He could transcribe. He could carry bags.
No. He's the boss. He's the bully. And I will take my traditional not travel for the first round, but it usually works out just perfectly.
Man, you ain't coming to Houston. I'll see you in Houston. Watch.
Houston, yeah. See.
How are you gonna take
maybe
the second round off?
Not taking the second round. I'm not taking these rounds off. By the way.
No, I'm saying how are you gonna take leave?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's logistically tough, but we'll see. I think we'll see how the roster looks. By the way, at that point. Because we might be making a mid-level exception purchase here. So.
I don't know if that's mid-level. That might be designated veteran. The max.
No comment beyond that. No comment beyond that.
The announcement is coming soon.
Yep.
So this can't be the last Warriors plus minus, right? Is this the last one?
We might get fired. So we'll just do it at another place. So that's okay. No, this is not the last Warriors plus minus.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, we might be.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Might be the Archbishop Midi Warriors plus minus, but it's still.
Here's what's gonna happen, listeners. TK is gonna chill at home in the first round, and I'll be doing Warriors plus minus on the road.
Yeah.
And sending it to Ben, and he'll make it happen. Meanwhile, TK will be eating at restaurants,
That's
feet
true.
up,
That's true.
hanging out.
I might be doing some 49ers Raiders draft by then, so I might just hanging with Grudog and Shanahan and Jed and Mark Davis. That's kind of my life these days. So we'll set up some microphones and do my own show over there.
First round's boring anyway. You ain't missing anything.
I was thinking Oklahoma City. If they drew Oklahoma City and they lost last night, I was like, geez, I might need to get there. But at this point, I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe Game 6 if it gets that far.
Game 6.
Game 6. And Steph makes his grand return for Game 6, Oklahoma City. As I remember, Game 6 at Oklahoma City are pretty interesting. That's just my memory of this.
Some pretty amazing things happen there.
Yep. Joe Lacob gives players roses too. So.
And
Neil. He gave the rose some other time. That's right. The kneeling.
He bowed on two knees before Klay Thompson
on television.
Wow. Now, I guess Steve Ballmer would do that. Who's another owner who would do that?
Cuban
would do that.
Jordan would not. Vivek would.
Jordan would not.
I don't think Dolan would. But there's a few. But Joe would be since Joe's already done it. That would be
Joe's pioneer. He's the pioneer of
does that give him an upper hand in any Clay negotiation talks here in a couple of years?
I think the Bay Area Sun does that. Steph Curry does that.
Yes. Golf courses.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that might be the sweetener though. Like, hey man, I will bow. I will bow.
That's got to be worth like $5 million right there.
He's got to be worth it. I know, right? All right, we're out of here. Our next one will be right before the playoffs.
Yep. Well, might be our last chance to line up a big guest because they don't tend to like to do them during the playoffs. So maybe we'll try to line up somebody right before the playoffs.
Yeah, let's see if they're ready for,
the real thing.
Yeah, to really talk hoop with us instead of other people.
All right, see ya.